the reason that I feel so strongly about this is, while it is a topic I care about, mental health and how it relates to social media, I did not like that these billionaires were guests on the Huberman podcast. And why? Why would they be? Hey guys, I'm Chris, and in today's video I want to talk to you about the latest episode of the Huberman Lab Podcast. Now, Andrew Huberman is a neuroscientist and professor at Stanford. The Huberman Lab Podcast has 4 million plus subscribers, and while he talks about a range of issues, it's primarily focused on optimizing health and performance. So, in this latest episode, he had as his guests Mark Zuckerberg and Priscilla Chan. Now, Zuckerberg is the CEO of Facebook and its parent company Meta, and they also own Instagram and also WhatsApp. Priscilla Chan, Zuckerberg's wife, she is a medical doctor, a pediatrician. I didn't like that they were the guests on this neuroscience podcast, but the reason that I feel so strongly about this is, while it is a topic I care about, mental health and how it relates to social media, I did not like that these billionaires were guests on the Huberman podcast. And why? Why would they be? So the reason that I sort of stepped in to say something, even though I'm practically a nobody on social media yet, the reason I stepped in is because somebody posted on a reel with a clip from that episode of the podcast and just said, billionaires shouldn't exist. Now, that is a valid argument. I think it's obviously that's a very concise and simple way of stating it, but it's a concise and valid point. It's a cogent argument. Billionaires shouldn't exist. That's what this person believes, and I think just saying it, there's no problem. So this is where it gets interesting. Huberman himself responded to that comment, basically saying, well, you do realize you're using Instagram, which is owned by Meta, the same company that Zuckerberg owns, or words to that effect, right? So I stepped in and said, listen, don't strawman this guy, but I want to make some points about this video and the people involved. Social media has been shown repeatedly to be detrimental to mental health, and in particular that of young girls, young women. Huberman Lab's own guests are vaunted neuroscientists and mental health experts. They have psychiatrists on the show, they have psychologists, they have neuroscientists. Now, I'm gonna check this, but I'm sure as a fan of the podcast that I have seen actual neuroscientists and mental health experts, psychologists, talking about how social media is bad for you, is bad for the brain, is bad for mental health, bad for your self-esteem.
It can actually be quite stimulating. You get a lot of dopamine. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. But very quickly, when you're scrolling on social media, you're no longer getting the novelty, but you're continuing to do it and you almost don't know why you're doing it. At that point, it shifts over to something that's a bit more like an obsessive compulsive behavior.
You know, it raises the question, why would they be on there? The thing is that a lot of the comments, which are based on the opinions of experts and research and things like that, comments that are skeptical and well thought out, like mine, are mixed in with comments from the kind of people who think that Bill Gates caused COVID and used the vaccine to put a tracking chip in your arm. But I don't think that comments like mine should be dismissed. I think AOC put it best when she said, every billionaire is a policy failure. I wouldn't have stated just simply, billionaires shouldn't exist, but that is kind of how I feel. It's a level of wealth and power that is undemocratic, and I think that, while I'm not the biggest fan of democracy as it is in our world today, I do feel that individuals holding so much power and wealth, which has not been given to them directly by the people, I do think that's that's not right, and I don't think that's going to take us to a good place. Another thing is that I think the Zuckerbergs are well aware of their reputation, but there's something I really do not like about the Zuckerbergs messing with immune cells. I think that she's a medical doctor, that's fine. I think he is some weird dude who learned how to code and did well in a kind of, a perfect storm where his exact personality and skills could lead to something lucrative. But I think that the Zuckerbergs have a bad reputation because their money comes from social media, which is bad for us. Social media is bad for us. And Huberman's comment, like, oh, well, why are you using it then if you think it's so bad? Andrew Huberman should be aware that the use of social media and other apps on our phones, on our devices, hijacks the dopamine system. It's monetized by just one more click, intermittent reward, things that he knows about, things that he's very familiar with as a neuroscientist. So the Zuckerberg money, given that social media is bad for our mental health, and the thing is, social media, in the case of Facebook, didn't begin anything like what it is now. The opportunity to monetize our use of social media has been taken to a maximal degree, obviously. And where that can go in future, I don't know, but I'm worried. I think that the way companies like Apple have responded to privacy concerns, I think Facebook having to respond to privacy concerns in the past, I think that shows that they are kind of aware of what their reputation is. They're probably paying millions of dollars to PR people who watch and handle all of this and get out ahead of it. But I just do not think it's a good look for a celebrated neuroscientist from a respected department at one of the world's premier universities to be giving a platform to people whose money comes from a bad thing. This is like Tony Soprano opening a hospital wing in New Jersey. Like, okay, the hospital might do some good, but you know where the money comes from. So I'm still a fan of the Huberman Lab podcast. I myself have implemented a lot of the protocols that he suggested. I think a lot about the mental health stuff from some of his guests. Huberman said in another comment that he didn't receive a penny, quote unquote, for their appearance. Well, somebody is benefiting. A couple of billionaires turning up on your podcast to talk about bleeding edge research in cell manipulation. That's weird by itself, and I do think the Zuckerbergs are weird. Let's be honest, they're weird. I don't know where they are on the spectrum, but they're on the spectrum. There's some social thing missing. As far as I know, Zuckerberg was involved in Facebook because he wanted to make friends. I think if he didn't have his money, this guy would not be doing very well. I've gotten off track, but the point is, having these guests on the Huberman Lab podcast is at best a questionable decision. Huberman made the point basically that yes, we're using social media, but let's be real, let's be honest about that. Social media is not anything like today, what we signed up for in 2007, 2008. So I meant to post this video earlier in the week, but before I had chance, the BBC posted this news that Meta, Instagram, is being sued in the United States for the damage it's doing to the mental health of young girls. Now, this makes me think, so why are the Zuckerbergs going around touting their philanthropic bona fides? I think it's not a coincidence. They're obviously laundering their reputations. Look what we're doing for people's health, guys. Ignore all that bad stuff. Look at the good we're doing. And I just think it's so cynical, and I think if you're Andrew Huberman and you're seeing the ratios of comments, like I've got barely 1,000 followers, my likes on a comment should be nowhere near half of what you've got for your comment. And you're seeing this news coming out straight after the podcast is published. If you're seeing that they're going on this media blitz and you're part of it, I just think it's not a good look. And of course, being who they are, they don't realize how gross it looks. They don't realize how icky it is for the rest of us. So I still love the podcast. I still love all the information I get from it for free. But I do not like what's happened with the Zuckerbergs being involved. And the bottom line is, I just want them to keep their billions away from our health. So those are my thoughts. If you'd like to follow me, that'd be great. If not, I'll see you around.